Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the FPL show. Hopefully, your teams so far have been going well. We're 2 weeks in. Hopefully, you guys haven't used all your chips and rage quit just yet. But Dame, how you going?
Pretty close to rage quitting, mate. But how about yourself?
Yeah, we had some fun discussion on Saturday, didn't we? When you
We
were
did
ready to
indeed.
blow it all up and start all over again next season. But a certain change for you last week maybe kept you alive and
We
kicking
did.
so far. But how's your team going? I reckon we just go straight into it. How'd you
Yeah,
go
look,
last week?
team went okay. It's another solid week. If someone told me that I'm going to get 63 and 65 points every week for the whole of FPL, I'm going to get close to winning the thing because that's consistency. You know, if you get 60 points for every game week, if I do my math here quickly, right? 60 times 38, you're getting 2,280 points. That's going to get you to the top end of Fantasy Premier League. So I'll
Yeah,
take that. At the same time, it's just disappointing to look at your rank, and my rank's 2.1. You're 9 points ahead of me, and you're 1.0.
yeah.
And that's how close it is. Um,
It's
the
pretty
main reason,
consistent though with the
yeah,
start of the season though.
yeah, which is fair. And I think there's a lot of points on offer this year where I feel like the averages have been higher than the last couple of years where it's been like 38, 40. This year's like average last week was
50.
57. Now
Yeah.
before that was 50 something. So, I feel like
That's
that.
because a lot of chips are being used too though, I reckon. Like a lot
Yeah,
of
I
triple
reckon so
captains
too.
and things like that.
But yeah, the team's done okay. There's definitely the sub story will come out about a certain couple of players for me, which will be funny because there was a reason why I was raging. And then we can talk about who I brought in as well there, Paul.
Yeah.
But 65 points before I dive into it too much. How did you go, mate?
I got 68, which I'm more than happy with, to be perfectly honest. Good start. A few decisions have really gone my way, and then a couple really haven't. So yeah, as you said before, I'm on 1.049 at the moment, so just under 1,050,000, whatever it is.
Yeah,
And I've done that with obviously double Liverpool defense and
same.
Mount Neto for 2 weeks. So I think they're the negatives. And Melier's been a negative, which I think's been a bit critical of him. He's conceded one against Wolves, and then he conceded two late against Southampton.
Yeah,
Another day, I was almost banking in the clean sheet there with 7-8 minutes to go. So that's 4 points that have gone missing, which
yeah,
puts me up to 72. And you're going, geez, that's a good week. Versus 68, you're like, eh.
yeah. It's
So
alright.
Trippier being an absolute beast for me. But then other than that, my team was pretty template. I've made a few changes already that I might start talking about my thinking around those, but needed to make a bit of a move because I'm like, I can keep treading water, but someone had to come out of my team, and there is one other person that really needs to come out of my team, but that'll happen next week, and I'll get
Yep.
into that a bit later. But overall, very, very happy for all 70. I think he was down about 71%. He dropped about 3 or 4% last week. All the Jesus owners. Dom was a big hater, but he was a bit scared to go against the grain, and I'm sure now I haven't heard an apology yet from Dom, and he's not on this
Yeah,
episode.
he owes us an
He
apology.
owes us a big one because if he didn't have Jesus, I would have left him miles. There's 1 point between Dom and I after 2 games, and he's gone threemium and I didn't. So it's been interesting to see the strategies and what's happened. But there's one big player that I dodged that we'll get into that will need to leave teams.
Yep.
And I think you've got him, so had him. So we'll get into that. But 68 points, more than happy.
Yeah,
Whilst we're
nice.
talking about points, make sure you jump into our Classic League. So it is open.
Yep.
It's going to be open pretty much the whole season. So if you do want to join in midway through, that is fine. The code is in our FPL channel in the Discord, so make sure you jump in there. So,
Perfect.
Damo,
Let me get into my sob story, Paul.
let's do it.
So let's set the scene. It's the Friday before FPL starts, and Damien's looking at 5 mil defenders. We're on Fantasy Football Hub, where I am a paying subscription owner. I trust their data like I trust the Holy Bible with the life that is, the word of the God. I'm not religious, I'm just going with it. Maybe I trust it more than a morning coffee to get me out of bed. Anyhow, with this sacrilegious fantasy expected data, I made an educated guess to take Zinchenko out late for a certain man called Digne. He has done me over before, but he's on set pieces as we assumed, which he's not, and he's playing for Villa, who have 3 good game weeks. Paul was banking a Melier clean sheet with, 20 minutes to go?
Not even
15
5.
minutes to go? How do you think I was feeling with 2 minutes to go and Everton not showing a thing all game? Digne decides to be thrown like a rag doll and put in his own net, -1. I also decided to go with
And
the eye
Zinchenko,
test.
12 points last week.
I also wanted to go with the eye test over Neto, which isn't as bad a move for Leon Bailey. Bailey, though, benched. Phone goes flying in front of my mates. Leon Bailey comes off the bench. Oh no, he's going to only get 1 point. Leon Bailey gets the ball down the right and the Villa a 3v2. The hope builds. By the time he plays the ball with Watkins, I'm out my seat. By the time he squares at the Watkins, the top's nearly off. And by the time Watkins hits the legs of the keeper, the phone's back on the floor. My case now does this. And for those watching on YouTube, and for those listening on Spotify, my case is now off my phone because it's now cracked.
That's cool.
And it's 1 point from Bailey, it's 0 points from Digne, and it's 32 group messages in a row from Dane to I'm wildcarding. I'm sitting in just my jocks and a t-shirt after flying home from a mate's place to be on Fantasy Football Hub working out a wild card. But the moral of the story is make good transfers, don't panic, because Phil Foden, even though he played 45 minutes, saved me because I took him out for Mason Mount.
Yeah, so that's where you've profited on it because I held Mount. I wanted the 2 transfers for this week.
I will say that if it wasn't for some mastermind noose of myself, of proving that I'm actually decent FPL, I would be like 4 or 5 mil in the world.
I really wanted to follow you last week, and I said it to you. I said it to you on Friday morning that I was really considering the Foden move because we'd seen him play on the left in the Community Shield. He then played on the right in game week 1. He then went back out to the left against Bournemouth. So
out of all the midfielders, I feel like he's the most nailed. Pep goes out his way to make sure he starts.
Him, Gundogan, De Bruyne are 3 very nailed midfielders. I mean, he's a winger, but midfielder for FPL purposes.
Yeah.
If you've got Grealish, find the mill. Just find it. Because Foden will play more often than not. So, my dilemma has been around this 8 million spot. For long periods of time, didn't have one. I really regretted putting one in because, to be fair, not one of them really. Kulusevski went big game week 1. Foden for 45 minutes was really good. I think he got dragged because he didn't square the ball to Haaland.
I think so too.
Which is a good statement, I guess, if you're a manager of Foden because he's going to learn, give the ball.
Yeah.
Diaz saved it with his weldy against Crystal Palace. But other than that, Saka has really been disappointing, and he was the one that I was really considering. So to be fair, I was tossing up between Mount and Saka. So I haven't lost much. I lost an assist, really. But Mount, for me, I've actually gone to the point where I've restructured. So I'm kind of happy I didn't back an 8 mil. I didn't do the Foden transfer because I've made 2 transfers so far this week already. I made them real early. I made them before the bloody game were even over. Before the Sunday games, I made my transfers, which was risky because if I picked up an injury from any of the Liverpool boys, I was in big trouble. But I managed to get through unscathed. But let's go back and before we go into our plans for this week. For me, we've spoken about Jesus. Haaland, pretty unlucky. Should have had the one from Foden, the square ball, and then really should have done better with the chance he had before he got taken off.
Yep.
If one of those goes in, you add 4 points on his score, he maybe gets a bonus. You're then talking double points. You're talking 20 at that point.
Yeah.
And you take that from him. Cancelo was my MVP, bar Jesus. They saved my butt this week. Cancelo now is 47% owned. I reckon he was a bit less than that last week. So, very intrigued to see how Cancelo continues to perform because he is a bonus point machine, as is Trippier.
And I will throw someone else in that list that people forget. Trent got bonus points on the weekend, even though he got no goal, no assist, and conceded a goal.
He was very good.
Yes.
And for his 3 points, a bit underwhelming.
And like 40% of the population have taken him out.
Have they?
Yeah. He's on Fantasy Football Hub as someone that's going down
40,000
in price.
people. Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, he's
40%
at 53.1.
yeah,
So
the target's gone up even more. There you go.
so people are getting him in.
No, out.
Oh, out. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. He's blanked twice in a row. It's just the casuals. They go, why have I got 7.5 mil invested in this defender?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm going to have a look at it right now as you're going talking about it. But yeah, like...
The big one's Robbo for me as well at 7. But I feel like the 10% that have Robbo are going to ride Robbo.
Yeah.
And he's less risky in that case.
30%.
30%.
30% of people taking him out. Like, that target's at 30% down.
Oh, okay. So sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's not bad. Yeah. I can ride that.
For me, Kieran
Trippier has been a real big one at the moment. Was a big risk at 5. There's a lot of 5s. For him to walk away with 14, 2 clean sheets and a bonus point in each game, very, very nice. And no attacking returns just yet. My big regret so far has been Reece James. He was in my team for a long period of time, and I got rid of him.
Same. I'm with you.
And I have a big moral dilemma that hopefully you guys can either answer in the comments, but I'm in a position where I can either turn Robertson down to him or Trippier up to him. So that's a real interesting debate at the moment for me, and I don't know which way I'm going to lean on that one. I'm probably leaning towards putting Trippier up, but
I'm with you, but I've got one more out than you do, and the reason why I can hold, and this is what I'm very proud in. Right on the deadline, people laughed at me. People laughed at FPL mate for doing. I'm not FPL mate.
Andy,
let's talk FPL for doing it. Cucurella, mate.
Yeah, but then I would have lost Trippier though.
He's the reason that I'm able to have an out, because I got rid of Neco, had the extra mil because I went Ward and Iverson, and it was to gain Cucurella in. So if Chelsea did look a little bit more solid, which they do, and Chill was nowhere near being fit, I can run Cucurella up to game week 6, 7, and then look to get him out, or get James on James later, or double up on James later. Just gives me a few more weeks to see where Chelsea really are at, because James did play right centre back, but at right centre back he got off.
Yeah, but he did a role though on Son.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, that was tactical.
I think so.
That wasn't by choice. They wanted someone to be able to go with Heung-min Son. But then you're right. The minute they then won the ball, the shape changed. Loftus-Cheek went inside and James went back into that role.
Yeah.
The fact that he just looks so good, doesn't he, James?
He does. He always does.
I had to make a big call. I went Robbo really over him. I've found a way to make the million to give myself the choice. I just think I have to back Robbo. I think with Newcastle's fixtures coming up, it's maybe time for Trippier to go. Like, I know that sounds dumb because he's got 14 points in 2 games, but he gets City and Liverpool in 2 of the next 3. He's sitting
on a rotation option.
Not as good as Reece James.
I hear you, but at the same stage,
when I don't have to fix my thing is I don't have to fix anything else up. So I think the run that James gets me up to the wild, like James would be someone like my back 4 probably won't change when I wildcard if I make this move.
Yeah.
It'll be Trent, Cancelo, Robbo, James. That is locked for the year.
Yeah.
Bar injury. So that's where my mind goes. Do I just put the extra mil that I've made already from a smart decision or 2 smart decisions that I think I've made?
Yeah.
Into
one of them is.
And lock the 4 away. And then I'm playing with my money in my forward midfield for my wild card particularly, because I haven't looked really long term. I've up to week 8. I think game week 8, I have the Liverpool versus Chelsea fixture.
Yeah, we all do.
So I probably just take James off for 1 game there and just try and ride the 2 Liverpool defenders. There's no point me splitting I could go Trent, Robbo and bench. Trent, James, bench, Robbo.
Yeah. But
I feel like if you got 2, you just back the 2 and you just hope that one of your bench options can give you, like a De Silva can give you something in.
Yeah, or Andreas. If you got him.
To be fair, Brentford have Arsenal in game week 8. So if you've got De Silva, you probably don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, I think it would be. Andreas. I think in game week 8,
who has Nottingham Forest. Yep. Okay. Well, that's James to Pereira for 1 game. I can probably ride that. But anyway.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts at the moment. So I've made a million. You might be thinking, Paul, you had no money in the bank before. How have you magically gone and got $1 million? Because I went with my gut. I even transferred Mason Mount out before he played against Spurs. Not because it was Mount, it was because I want to do more with that money. I feel like I can get better value. So if you tell me with that, from that 8 million, you could have Reece James for Trippier upgrade, and you can turn Cameron Archer into Ivan Toney, which I've done. That looks better to me than having Mount and Archer and Trippier. So I would rather have James, De Silva, Toney over Trippier, Mount, Archer.
I agree.
And that's what I've done.
I will say one reason why Paul has done this, and he owes someone a thank you that's on this podcast with him, is moi. I want to take my credit right now because I told him, hey, mate, he's about to jump in price like right now.
So I was on, we were both on stream at that point, weren't we, on Sunday morning?
Sunday morning.
And I was talking about what I was thinking of doing. And it's funny because both players have gone up in price now too. But we were talking about, so De Silva, I'm trying to think. So De Silva had scored overnight.
Yeah.
So he'd scored Saturday night, Sunday morning. Our time, we're streaming later Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And I reckon I was streaming. You'd already gone and looked. Then you've jumped on stream, got in the chat and said, Paul, look, because you were watching me stream whilst you were doing the data on Fantasy Football Hub. Absolute, his projections went off the chart. It was like 120% or whatever it was. And we've learnt now when the deadline is. That's the key. We've now learnt when the prices rise. So we've now got
2 a.m. UK time.
Exactly.
Roughly.
It's about 10 o'clock our time in the morning. So now we can start to structure our moves around it. So that is something for you guys to really be mindful of. If you know someone is going to get mass transferred in and you're going to go with it, pull the pin that early. I thought I had another 18 hours. I thought I'd at least get to Monday morning and be able to make a decision. Yeah. The thing was, I then went and looked at my end of Fantasy Football Hub, saw the De Silva traction. I thought, nah, just make that move. Me, the silly idiot, then goes, let's make both my transfers because I've got 2 million free or 2.5 million in the bank now. So I went and moved Archer straight up to Toney. Thankfully, I did because I could guarantee you I would not have looked at it by yesterday.
And when he went up in price.
And Tony's on up 0.1, whatever.
Yeah.
But that 0.1 means I wouldn't be able to move Trippier up to James. And that's the key. So for me, I've made two, and I've said this, I don't like making early transfers, but these two early transfers have saved me team shape for a long time right now, and that's the small margins. People would have waited for De Silva, and people may have waited for Ivan Toney now with Darwin. The reason Tony's gone up is because the Nunez red card. So I've gotten lucky that I transferred him in early by mistake. But it's kept my team in a position where I can now comfortably go up to Kieran Trippier, up to Reece James, and that's going to keep my structure looking really good. So I might actually, I think it's time, do we pull the teams up potentially and have a look at them?
If you've got them there, while you do that, I'll explain my moves that I made, and hence why I was looking at price rises early in the morning, is I came home and said Digne's gone. I already was taking him out. I was already planning on riding Cucurella in Game Week 3 for Leeds, so I already knew he was starting. My move was always to give Digne 3 game weeks. And
I've got your team up from last week.
Yeah, and then I was going to get on Lewis Duck, right, because I want the Brighton fixtures for the run into the wild card, because I'm planning wild card Game Week 9. I will speak about wild card though come the end of this stream, because I do have something in mind. But with that being said, I did it as of 11:30 on for Saturday night before the Man City kickoff. Digne was out, Dunk was in.
Yeah.
He's always doing it just in case Digne went down in price. My next move was then, how do I get Leon Bailey out? And it was more looking at 4.5 mils. Silva scored 2, and I was like, he's going up in price. Let me make the move now. I'm taking a -4, but I'm getting 0.1 in.
So this was because Foden was brought in last week. So you only had the one move.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm taking a hit here to improve team value. And then I'm like, there's a world where Cucurella goes up in price. And Cucurella went from -80% about to go down in price to now up 30% target.
Okay.
That
so
he may hold or go up by the end of the game week, because a lot of people, for whatever reason, in the all the casuals are getting rid of, why have Reece James in the team when I can have Cucurella, who's cheaper, and I can do more of the money, which, weird. But, so he looks like he could even go up in price, Cucurella, which makes that move even better. But I've taken a hit knowing that it improves my team value for my wild card. I will speak quickly about my wildcard plans. It is game week 9 at the minute. My team does look good. Paul has it on screen, I do believe.
I just took it off now, but I can put it back on.
Yeah, and then you just substitute.
No, I can't. Oh,
no, it's all right.
It's gone black.
We're
back. We're on.
There we go. Right.
Why
you do look at that team. You do look at that team, right? And Digne's out, and Cucurella's going to start, and you got Trent, Cancelo, Robertson, Cucurella. And De Silva is going to play only because Pereira has a knock, and I don't want to ride.
And
Pereira
against Fulham, you can play. You can definitely play De Silva against Fulham.
Which is fair enough. I would rather play Pereira because I think he's a little bit more susceptible to points.
We're hoping that De Silva can get through at least 70 minutes this week. He's gone 30-60, so hopefully he can start playing a bit more.
I think he will start as well. And then obviously Jesus and Haaland and Salah's captain at the minute.
We're back to our face view.
Yeah. The one thing I want to speak about wildcard is you mentioned that back four of Trent, Cancelo, Robertson, and James.
That's the only defense that fills me with confidence.
And I would maybe even move it to a 5, drop Robertson, get one of the other options, which is Dunk.
Oh, yeah.
And have Cucurella and James, and switch Cucurella out in the games I don't think he starts, or Dunk, right?
So that'd be easier for my wild card at that point, because then I can restructure again.
With that being said, I could wild card this game week or next game week and ride the Brentford fixtures.
And Brighton.
Ride the Brighton fixtures.
And probably Leeds as well, to be fair.
Could ride the Leeds fixtures, and it allows me to transition to what my plan is later down the track, which is the Palace fixtures.
Yeah, they're looking good, aren't they?
Because I'm looking at Zaha and Eze.
That's why I like the later wild card, though, because it suits their fixtures more.
I do too, because I also want to get on James Maddison at Leicester, right? Which is the 8 mil spot. But I'm tempted to wild card this game week because I'm already on a -4. Move to only no 8 mil midfielder. Move to Pascal Gross. Who
I feel like it's a waste of 4 points though. If you've taken the -4, you would have been better off pulling the wild card.
No, but if I pull wild card now, it wipes out the -4.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Which means that I can wild card NML transfers now don't mean -4. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure. And that means that I could move the 3 up top for Tony. It means I could do a few other things. I've thought about it. I've looked at it. The only reason why I haven't done it yet and the reason why I don't think I'll do it is my projection for this week and next week is 69 and 74 points.
Yeah.
With the same starting 11. Right?
Yeah.
I got 63 points and then 70 points in game week 4 without making any transfers, which leaves me in game week 5 2 free transfers, and I can get another defender in, or I can get in as in a
you can do a downgrade upgrade.
Or I can get in another, or I can get in start looking at Palace players, or look to move Foden to Maddison early. I get all those sort of things, and I still get another free transfer on top of that. Because I actually go game week 3. Next week, I'm expected at 62.8 points, give or take. I'm then at 70, 71 before I drop the 60 in game week 3, game week 6. So I could even stretch it to game week 6, make 2 free transfers, make a game week transfer in game week 3, in game week 7, and then game week 8, game week 9 wild card, and I'm there. So I'm tempted to hold it for the fact that I could wild card when I want to, or I wild card this week, cut the bullet early, set that back 4 up for the whole way to the World Cup. One of the 2 ways I'll look at it.
Which is pretty much a 5, and you split Robbo's money then, but I don't know. The Robbo thing is what's got me caught at the moment. Because if I didn't go, ifs, buts, maybe. If you don't go Robbo, then you get meh. To be fair, I never had Zinchenko in my team. The one that I've had in the team a long time is James.
Yep.
The way I then split it by then would be Perisic at some point. If you can split Robbo into Perisic and someone else, then fantastic.
Yep.
But I think long-term 5 at the back is going to be something that I look at, and it's going to be something with at least 2 up front. So I'm probably looking at 5-2-3, and you nail those 2 midfielders. If you can nail those 2 midfielders, 5-2-3 could be the way forward. If it's Martinelli and Salah,
that's
set and forget,
and then you
No
have
issue.
on the bench Andreas Pereira da Silva and Pascal Gross, and just fix your switch with
Yeah,
a defender that's not doing it, then you're pretty happy. I think.
exactly. And then
And
you're
that's
looking,
where I'm thinking of doing my wild card now for that.
yeah, and then you're looking at Haaland/Kane, whoever you want there.
Yeah.
Jesus is set for get, and then
Yep.
you rotating through your 7.
Tony, Welbeck, Mitrovic.
Yep.
Whoever's got better fixtures, you're rotating
There's
through. And
such a
nothing to switch
strong,
it.
and I think I've made the mistake. I went 4-4-2 this year, which is something I don't normally do.
Same.
And I think from now on, I'm just going to ride 5-2-3 and pray that I can hit the 3, 5-5 and below midfielders that are going to be in your team. And it's less risk because you can go sideways a lot easier with those midfielders. You can get if it was Aronson, you could go Neto to Aronson. I think 5 was a bit meh. Like, I don't think you want to go. You want 2 4-5s, a 5-5, a 6, and a premium as your 5 midfielders.
And that allows you to move a striker if you needed to an 8 or a 9 or a 10 even.
Yeah.
Right? That is fine. Like, say if Sterling starts looking good and starts really going.
It's your premium forward.
Yeah, it's just you're dropping a Kane or Haaland who may even get an injury at that stage, and you're dropping them to Sterling, and it allows you a little bit more flexibility. And that's the only reason why I'm looking at wildcard now is setting up my 5, setting up Salah and Martinelli, getting in De Silva, Andreas, and Gross. Right?
Yeah, Gross looks good in his new role, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And then setting up this 3 and just being like, that's it. And then I'm just playing transfers to fixture swap who's got good fixtures. And it allows me still to go to Zaha or Eze because they're only 7 and 6.
5-5.
Yeah.
I think Eze's 5-5, I think.
It's just even easier. You just
maybe
switching
6.
Gross to Eze.
Yeah.
I'll look at it right now.
Yeah, so that's definitely 5-5. Yeah, gee, that's value, man.
Oh,
you tell me Eze or Neto at the moment.
Yeah, I hear you.
So that's where there's a lot to think. And that's the thing. And a lot of people, I don't want people now to go, shit, that sounds good. I want to pull the wild card. Pull the wild card when
you need it.
You've got Nunez, you've got other injuries, you've got other problems. You 4.5, 5 million rank.
Yeah.
Maybe then look wild card. If you're anywhere, as my camera's gone out of focus, which is a bit weird. If you're anywhere near 130 points, give or take 5 points either way, you're doing something right. So don't just blow it up, because I could easily, Dame said, what we've said is what's ideal because we've got 2 weeks of data, but 2 weeks of data is still not everything. So
imagine 5 weeks of data.
Yeah. So I'm more than happy to try and wait. I'm on the edge, 8 or 9. Because I really don't like that. I don't like that Chelsea-Liverpool game. That's what I don't like.
You know what I'm doing for that game week, though? I've already planned it. It is Robertson and someone else out. Maybe, it could even be Trent, or it could be even Salah. And, captain, who do Spurs have that week? Maybe I'll go Salah to Son in that game week, right? Which is Leicester, right?
Yeah.
It's one game week. You're wild carding getting him back in next week. It's a 1 game week punt. You got 2 free transfers, use it, and then wildcard afterwards in game week 8. That's my plan: is to have game week 8 transfers that I can go Salah
and get out of them.
Someone else get out of it, captain whoever I'm bringing in, right, and then going okay, that's my differential for the week. 1 week punt, and then transferring wildcard and transferring everyone back in. Only problem is if Salah goes up in price, though, it's going to cost you more to get him back.
If he goes up by as in the Chelsea game, or
by the Chelsea game. So if he's up to 13.2,
no, but you'll have the value in your bank though.
Yeah, you should do, but it means you get 13.1 back, which always means you're going to cost 0.1 more to get him back in your team at the end.
No, because you sold him at the 13.1, you should have that in your bank anyway.
So what FPL does is at 13.1 you get back 13.
Oh, what?
13.2 you get 13.1. 13.3 you get 13.2.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
All right, well, anyway.
That's why Haaland now is, we sell Haaland at 11.6.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So then you got to make a second move to get him back if you want him.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Otherwise, everyone needs to hold the value.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why for people that don't have him, that's why price rises hurt, and that's why people that get price rises go, oh, good, I can hold him till he goes up again, and then I get my money now, get my 0.1, 0.2, etc. I've got a 99.7 team mil in the bank, and I think you're pretty close to the same.
Yeah, I've got a milli in the bank, and I have
99.8, I reckon.
99.8 with 1 mil
Yeah.
in the bank.
Yeah, they're very similar, but even similar in points. I'm on 128, and I'm not wildcarding because you said around that 130 mark doing something right. I've picked some really good players. I've got players that can go big, and I've got 3 game weeks where I'm expected to do well according to Fantasy Football Hub. If that happens, the choice to not wildcard right now is really good. If that doesn't happen, Liverpool continue to blank, then at some stage something might have to give for me.
And that's Robbo, I think.
Yeah, I do too.
I
but
love him
can
as a
do-
differential, though. Like,
I can do that for 2 hits or for a hit. Not even. I can do that in 2 weeks' time of a free transfer.
so, like, realistically, this week, I could take a hit, really, if I really wanted to. I haven't done it yet. I'm not going to lie, I've thought about it. I really have thought about Trippier this week because he's going to sit on my bench.
I think you can ride him with Andreas Pereira and switch.
Well, this week I've got De Silva.
Yeah,
and
which I think's fine.
This is the not the issue. So I'm looking at playing Patterson and De Silva this week. That's the concern. It's 2 guys. It's 2 of those smaller guys in the team. Is James going to be 4 points better off against Leeds than Trippier versus City?
Maybe.
It's tight, isn't it?
It's tight.
4 points is a lot.
When it's that tight,
Or
though,
plus, plus Patterson playing Forest.
Yeah,
I've got to add that in too.
I think there's a potential where that Forest Everton game finishes 0-0.
Yeah.
Which means that you get the points. And I think when it comes to that closeness between taking a hit or getting a hit for a player that you have to get a return from, it's better to not take the hit.
And then I'm better off making the transfer next week with the middle in the bank. Yeah. So
exactly.
That's where my mind is, and that's where I'm starting at the moment. So it means I've got to start 2 of my bench guys, but, pardon me, that's why they're there. If they're on your bench, and that's why I wanted to get rid of Archer, and that's why I made the structural change to go 4-3-3 at the moment, because
which I like.
I didn't like having a guy on the end of my bench that can't contribute. So I've got, my bench this week is Pereira, Neto, Trippier.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah.
It's not what I want. I don't want all the value on the bench, but
this is how it works.
When I've got Patterson playing Forest and I've got De Silva playing Fulham, I've got depth. And Neto needs, I think Neto is going to end up just staying in my team till my wild card because I can go sideways with him, but he's also good enough to play in some of these fixtures that are coming up before the wild card. So I think I'd rather move Trippier out or Robbo down. So my initial thought was actually go Robbo down to James, gives me 2 million, and then from 2 million to what? Good. It's like the worst timing. Like completely the worst timing. So Robbo down to Reece James gives me an extra mil in the bank. That then gives me the flexibility as you've got the worst timing as well.
Don't worry, mate. It happens.
And then that gives me a decision to make. So then the defense then ends up being, I just don't like Trippier. I think I said to you about Villa's early fixtures and I didn't do it because I didn't like them after their early fixtures. I knew I had this dilemma coming with Trippier against Man City and Liverpool.
Yep.
And I think I just need to go with my gut. And the reason why I've put Robertson in is because Liverpool will be better at some point, although it hasn't happened yet. That's what's not filled me with confidence. If Liverpool had come out looking good, then I would be more than fine to just get rid of Trippier. But when you got 7 mil and 7.5 mil in 2 defenders that are blank 2 weeks in a row, now I'm in, because my head was, by this week, Trippier's out.
Yeah.
And I ride the 2 easy fixtures and away I go. Well, it wasn't even easy. Brighton technically wasn't easy, but I banked him to do something. And now I've got a dilemma that I've had to hold him a week longer because I needed to restructure, and now I don't want to play him 1 out of the next 3 weeks. That's the problem for me.
Yeah. I hear ya.
So, I think we need to move to our underperformed section.
Yes.
Who for you underperformed?
Didn't you? I think that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Underperformed section. I guess you could say Salah against Palace, but he has a history of blanking game week 2, but he also has never not returned against Palace, so there you go.
Yeah.
I I think the other person that you might look at that underperform is Mitrovic because he had a pending missed. It's a -1. A lot of people brought him in.
Yeah, that's big, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's a huge swing. A lot of people brought him in to get rid of James or to get rid of Jesus.
Jesus, yeah.
That's a
Same
massive
with
swing.
Nunes.
If someone went from Jesus to Mitrovic to fund another move,
People
you've
did
just
it the
had a
other way too.
swing.
People had money in the
Just had a-
bank and went
Yeah.
Jesus up to Nunes,
Yeah,
thinking that with our fixtures he would blow up too, and then
yeah,
he's got himself -2.
yeah. So there you go. That's why it's also important sometimes to keep your transfers till later, unless you have to do it because of price rise, like we did with the Silver. And those are your underperforming players. I think this week you're looking at Mitrovic, you're looking at Nunes, you're looking at Digne.
Yeah, and probably Leon Bailey for the amount of people that have him and wrote it.
Yeah,
I know he's only
yeah,
5 mil. For me, it's Neto. Really,
Yeah.
like again, he's had half chances both weeks, and then this week he's playing Spurs and he's on my bench and he'll score this week, and now I'll go like,
You're
God
getting
damn it.
annoyed. Yeah, I'll get you.
But I'm back in my gut with the two cheaper options in Patterson and Silva this week. But Neto's one for me. Robbo's the other. I mean, the Robbo Trent. Trent really did perform well. He just underperformed Fantasy Premier League wise.
He got a bonus point whilst not getting a return at all, which shows you how well he played.
And if Salah could put something on target, then
that would be great.
That would have helped big time. But Trent's one of those ones where enough of the people that play the game seriously have him. So if he blanks, he blanks. If he does well, a lot of people were telling me like, oh, if Trent and Salah do well, my score will be cool. But then it's like you haven't captained either of them, so you're not getting an advantage. So cool, your score might be 80, but everyone else is also plus 12 more points. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, it's not a differential, but Robbo's the differential.
Yeah, Robertson is.
And Robertson hurts when he doesn't return at 7 mil, when Cancelo at 7 mil is returned twice. So,
you got to have both.
I do have both.
Yeah, same here.
Because this week, though, against Man United, Robbo could easily... Like, if Robbo was... The eye test for me for Robbo, because the data's not there, but the eye test is... When he plays with Diaz, he's so far up the pitch. He's putting in so many balls. He's taking corners. Everything Robbo's doing right now...
Ticks the boxes.
Yeah. It's not happened. And it's not happened for a lot of Liverpool assets. So, again, I'm going to not blow it up. We're going to be patient because
100%.
I think the smart move, as I've said it 5 times on this pod or this video, is I get Trippier up next week because he goes Wolves then City. So it's just like, Wolves and Liverpool.
Yeah.
So it's another dilemma that I have to then face the week after when I've got Neto coming back into the team.
Yeah.
So,
but you wear that when it comes to that week, and then if you have to take him out, you do. But I don't think you do it now. And I think if you're a Trippier owner, if you have Andreas, he switches in really well. So
yeah, but I don't want to ride him on the bench for 3 weeks.
Who, Trippier?
Yeah.
No, you get him in for Wolves. He's got to start for you against Wolves, surely. Wolves.
Actually, what does Andreas have? He's got Arsenal, and then De Silva. I could probably ride De Silva against Everton for 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, what you can do is this game week you're getting in.
Oh, Jesus. I've just seen what my team looks like.
Yeah.
With James in it next week, though.
Yeah.
As the one transfer. 74.2.
Yeah. It's good.
That's with Trippier going, obviously.
Yeah.
Because that's getting James in for for Leicester, Southampton, West Ham, Fulham.
Yeah.
Anyway. I was initially thinking about getting Melia up to another goalkeeper, to be fair, but I think I'm just going to leave that now.
But now I think that's to your wild card. That's set. That's like me. If I was a wild card, I'm going Edison to the World Cup.
All right. So if I remove James, and go back to Trippier, so what did I say? 74.2. Yeah. I'll go down to 71.7, but with a selection dilemma.
Is that in game week 4? Not game week 3. This is
game week 4.
Yeah,
because I've made my moves. Yeah, so I've made my moves obviously for game week 3. So that's me with a freebie transfer. Should I put it on the screen actually?
Okay.
I'll put it on the screen. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So, where is OBS? Here it is. Let me now go to Bosch. That didn't work. Fantastic. It's because it's on the wrong screen. So, if I now go to this screen, you should see it. So, Damo, I might actually share my screen with you too, so you can see what I'm talking about. That might help too.
Do it, mate.
This one.
Yep.
Bosh. There you go.
Beautiful.
So, the big dilemma. One free transfer here.
Yep.
Could hold. If I really wanted to and have 2 transfers, I can ride the 71.7 because that's still very high.
Yep.
Neto plays Trippier. Could easily just
Play
do
the
this.
silver, man.
Right? But then the next week, Trippier then has Liverpool. So, I think the best option is to remove him. You go James against Leicester, and you do this.
Was that with one free transfer?
One transfer.
Do you have 2 transfers to use?
Nah, one to use, and that's the only one that I make, though.
I'll tell you what you should do.
What's that? Oh, that's the pod screen.
De Silva for Neto. De Silva for Neto, Trippier starts, and Neto's your first sub.
Wait a minute. I'm panicking here. Because this is not working. Alright, I'm going to go back to the browser because this is stupid. So,
Panic stations.
Damo reckons, whilst I'm trying to do 5 things at once, that I keep Trippier for 1 week.
Yep.
Keep the transfer.
Yep. And
Go
you pay De Silva over Neto.
and hold Neto on the bench for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Could do that. Because I think
you can play Neto against Bournemouth for the Liverpool fixture for Trippier.
Neto against
Next week, the week
Bournemouth.
after, in the next game.
Oh, in game week 5.
Neto, and then Neto can
Oh,
play.
yeah.
And then it holds. And then you've got your 2 free transfers. And you can use it. And you can use in game week 5 if you want to use a transfer. Is you can transfer someone else out if you want. But
game week 5, I'd have 2 transfers.
Yeah, and you can do what you want.
And I could make 1 if I need to. And that could be the week you bring James in because that's the Liverpool fixture for Trippier.
Yeah, that could be the week.
All right, now let me try and figure out what's going on here. So let me quickly go back to podcast. Why is this not... There we go. I don't know what is going on here. I have figured it out, but it's a bit weird. All right, how do I end the stream? There we go. So, a lot to think about. And that's a good point, actually, because I'm someone who likes having 2 transfers.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to keep benching Trippier because I think Trippier is safer than Neto.
Yep.
So that's something I can think about. We can talk about that in the next episode as well because we're going to have time for that. So, I think movements for game week 2. We've touched on that quite a lot already. But to consolidate, mine is Mount to De Silva, Archer to Tony, with the thought process of eventually fixing up that back 4.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I think I'm not going to wildcard. There is a potential to do it. The main reason is I'm projected over 70 points the next 2 game weeks afterwards, so there's no point wildcarding, which gets me closer to the optimal wildcard of game week 8/9.
Yep.
And I can probably use then the 2 free transfers in game week 7 and then 2 free transfers in game week, or a transfer in game week 7 and then 2 free transfers in game week 8 to get me to the wild card or a hit. With that being said, I've already made my moves for this week. I am thinking longer term to maybe get James in, but I also think at a stage, ride Cucurella a lot short term, and then as Chilwell becomes more prominent, and if Chelsea sign another centre back, Cucurella out to one of the other options.
Yep.
And then there's an obvious trap of a player that I don't want to speak about, but then Perisic would be the guy to look at because he's gone down in price a few times. He will become nailed at some point.
Is he 5'4" at the moment or 5'3"?
5'4", I think, but he may have gone down again.
I feel like he's going to be a big wildcard target.
Yeah.
Up to the World Cup.
I think once people know that he is nailed.
Taking corners on both sides is bloody dangerous as well.
Yeah. Perisic is down to 5'4" and is already down on target of 33% with a trend that is meant to be that he'll go down again.
So if he doesn't start again this week, then I think those other guys probably just bin him off.
If he doesn't start again, he'll be down to like 5.2. And I'm just like going, thank you. Because we'll
ride
get you in. Yeah, and because then you'll get him in when he's nailed.
Yeah, 100%. And then you can move a bloody 5 million up. Oh, imagine Trippier up to Perisic for almost nothing.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Because if Trippier gets a return this week, which would be hilarious, which, you know, he could score a free kick, but as long as he doesn't like get negative points against City, then people might look at him. But then again, he's got Liverpool. But, you know, anyway.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right.
Definitely hear you.
Question time. So, Dim has asked us, who are the teams other than the big 6 in quotes that managers should be targeting? So, we've got a couple that we've spoken about. Leeds is one that I'd be targeting right now, as of next week after Chelsea. So from game week 4 to the wild card, they look really good for a month. So if you're looking at Harrison, Rodrigo, and Aronson in particular as 3 midfield options. Very good options to go for there. Or if we can see something out of Christensen very soon at right back.
Yeah,
Who would you be
I
looking
agree.
at?
Look, I'm looking a little bit more longer term. I'm looking at obviously Zaha and Eze because Palace, I believe, play some good football and look good on the going forward. I am also looking at obviously Madison. He has scored, even though a couple big points. He seems to be just a fantasy Premier League machine when it comes to points as well. Madison.
Addison, yeah. Set piece
Yeah,
taker.
yeah,
Helps.
lucky against
Arsenal.
the weekend. Really was a mistake from the keeper there, but
We've
nothing
obviously spoken
bad.
about Brentford a lot as well. So their
Yeah,
fixtures like through the wild card looks really good.
yeah,
And then you've
and
spoken about Brighton's defence too.
yeah, and I like the look of Brighton. I'm tempted to nearly triple up on them, which is big. But yeah,
I
I
want to
don't
see
think I would.
Lamptey
I'd definitely
fit
look to. Yeah, if Lamptey was fit, I would be looking at Dunk and Lamptey
and Gross.
as two of them, and then Gross in the middle, or a Trossard if he got more advanced. But we'll wait and we'll see with that one. But those are your picks there, Dim. I think if you're going off the beaten track and you're looking at a couple of options that are a little bit like out of left field, Jack Harrison maybe is someone that you can look at for. Joey Aribo might be the only outlet at Southampton if you want to ride that, but that's something that you have to wait and see. And then from there, take your pick. I do think there's a world where it's going to be the right time to get on Bruno, right time to get on St. Maxim at Newcastle as well, but I don't know if that's the time now.
Yeah, no, not with their fixtures, but maybe post
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah.
All right, JS coming back in with the top 5 captain question. So I think you set forget guys. I think don't Southampton. They got Southampton have Spurs this week, so really probably looking at Kane, Son as really good captain options. Then you're looking Salah against Man United. Loves that big fixture. I don't know what's going on with your camera. Okay, it's back now. You were really glitchy. I don't know if you were on FM or anything, but
should be fine.
it's good now. I'd say the Spurs guys probably number 1 target team against Southampton. They're going to concede goals.
Yep.
If you've got a Chelsea asset, you could look at it. Like I think James almost could be a really good captain against Leeds with the amount that they concede and go from there. But then Haaland, I don't know. I'm not going to look to probably captain Haaland. I know you've got someone that you probably want to mention as a captain option that I'll leave for you. But yeah, you could probably back Haaland. I think that's going to make enough chances for him.
Look, I think your top ones are Salah against United. I think Haaland against Newcastle, you can always do it as well. Plenty of people will. My cat's jumped on top of my monitor screen, and for those that don't know, he has a history of turning off my computer. So I've now got my hand resting on top of the power button so it doesn't turn off. On top of that one there, I really think this could be the week where you go against the grain and captain Jesus. I think a lot of people will. Poor of conceding chances. Jesus looked good. All the lines, all the stars align. But I think you'd be a really brave man to go against Salah versus United with Liverpool slow start. It could be the week where he rocks up and it could be the hat-trick week. And it'll be the one time where you don't captain Salah.
And he goes bang.
Monster. So, depends how brave you want to be.
Yeah.
Depends how brave you want to be.
I'd have to agree with you there. And then the last question we've got here from Rods is who is currently performing well but may not continue their bit of form? You go for it.
And it's not because he's not going to continue his bit of form, but mainly because they've made a signing, and I think he could get his minutes limited. Kyle Walker.
Yeah, I was thinking him.
Gomez has now come in. I think he'll get blended in, who will be used. Walker's minutes will become a bit more suspect now. You may even see times where Cancelo moves to the right and Gomez stays on the left, and they'll go a bit more traditional with the wing-backs. So I think there is definitely a world where Walker, for now, maybe the next game week or 2 might be okay. And then after that, you might see him subside in minutes. Also think there's a world where that may happen. I think the other one where our points, have been a lot of points and they may not continue, I think is the Trippier train. Not because of anything else, just more the fixtures are turning. And that might be the one that starts to dry up a little bit now.
Yeah, I'd have to probably agree with those two in particular. If you asked me this question last week, I probably would have said Pascal Gross, but we've seen some consistency with the role that's going to hold. Mine might be the Brentford defenders. Yes, the run gets easier, but
they have a habit of conceding, don't they?
Yeah, so they're not clean sheet guys. So a lot of people have gone on Ben Mee because of the goal this week and the clean sheet and the points look really good this week.
Yep.
But I think you can get better value out of Brentford further forward on the pitch. So if you're going to go 4.5 mil defenders, I think try and make them from Brighton because they're
Yep.
proven. As much as I love Rico Henry,
Same here. I love him.
I'd rather have a Damsgaard, Silva, Tony combination. If you were to triple up Brentford, if you're tripling up Brentford, then you're playing FPL right because you're having fun. But I think if there's two assets you want to own from Brentford, they're the two that I've got.
Yeah, I think so too.
Alrighty, so we're hopeful that we can get another episode up this week. Hopefully we can get a live one to get your questions in. So if you've enjoyed this one, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the pod, share the video. Damo,
100%.
once again, thank you for your insights tonight.
Thank you yet again. Shout out to Dom, who is not with us on this one. He'll be on us with us on the live FPL show, which is more than likely a Friday night for now, but we'll wait and see when that is. But yeah, let's hope it's a really good week here, Paul, and let's hope that this is the week that we start to ascend inside the top 1 mil.
Yep. So hopefully we can both crack in there with you having a big week. We're actually versing each other this week in our head-to-head. So
I think so. We are. I think we are.
So that would be an interesting matchup for.
Yeah, I think you got me. I think your structure's a bit better, if I have to say. I think you'd be the favourite for that one.
I'd say my team's probably safer, but if you get a few of your stars aligning, then you could go bang.
Yeah, I think it's more just Foden start and just Foden get a return. If that's the case, then you
That's the wild card.
be in trouble. But
Yeah,
we'll
that's
see.
the wild card pick there. Anyway,
Yeah.
for episode 4, that's where we'll leave it. We'll see you hopefully in a couple of days for our final preview and review of our teams going into game week 3.